Welcome to the first episode of Store 30. My name is Adam Dell. I'm the program director at Store Under Network at the Ohio Media School in Columbus. Store 30 is a new concept that we've put together where students at the Ohio Media School do really in-depth stories and looks at stories throughout the state of Ohio. In the first episode, we take a look at the Chieftain Center, a state-of-the-art athletic facility built in the small town of Logan, Ohio, and we talk to the people who helped make that possible. In the other story, Debbie Christo sits down with Savannah Holderby, a young woman who is taking the wrestling world by storm and is currently ranked 5th in the nation.
Wrestling is arguably the oldest sport, dating back 5,000 years. Records show that men wrestled as far back as ancient Greece, and it was one of the focal sports of the original Olympic Games. Since then, it has been dominated by men, with women only coming to light in the 1980s. However, women's wrestling didn't become an Olympic sport until 2004. Now imagine you're a 13-year-old girl with big dreams of becoming the next Olympic gold medalist. For Savannah Holderby, those dreams are quickly becoming a reality. Recently, we had the opportunity to sit down with this talented young lady and her family to discuss her career and how far she has come in making those dreams a reality. What drew you to start wrestling?
It all started when my brother was in there and I was watching practice and I was like, that looks great. I could definitely do that, and it looks like something that I would enjoy doing for sure. So I was like, all right, let's try it. I'll try it and see what happens.
Every great athlete deserves the best support system.
You could just kind of see it in her eyes. She was like itching to get out there. She told us when we got home, she was like, I really want to go out there and wrestle. And we were like, you just got invited to play on the travel team for basketball. You're doing really well. It was her first year. She was like, I really want to get out there. I know I can do it. She just started excelling at an incredible rate. So we were like, okay.
What's your favorite part about wrestling?
Traveling is a big one. Traveling is really fun, and as well as just training and meeting new people it's really great.
What's your least favorite part about wrestling?
Weight cutting. Weight cutting is really just the worst part of wrestling in general.
Did you play any other sports before you started?
I did gymnastics first when I was a little younger, and then I ended up getting to softball and football as well as basketball, and that was my winter sport until I started wrestling, and I just went from there, and now it's football and wrestling. So,
what do you play in football?
I'm a running back and middle linebacker.
And do you play co-ed?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the only girl on my team.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I was curious if it was more difficult to compete with boys than girls.
Strength-wise, I will say the boys are definitely strong. There are some pretty strong girls, but both boys and girls, I don't really have a preference as to which one is easier or harder to work with, because they're all definitely great wrestlers that I tend to wrestle with. So.
And with any male-dominated sport, there will always be obstacles.
When I started, I was a little younger, so it was a little bit different when I was younger. But as I've gotten older, yes, I've definitely had to prove myself a little bit with the strength difference and stuff like that. You have to be really tough in wrestling, for sure. So.
Her parents have had to overcome these obstacles as well.
She could get thrown, tossed, smash her head into the ground. Lots of things would happen, and as a dad, you're going, hey, watch her arm, watch her leg, but she's quite capable of taking care of herself. Those little things that happen to her just make her better. Not only is she wrestling against other boys, but she's wrestling against boys that are top in the country. Being at the club that we're at, the level of competition for males is ridiculous. So for her to be a female, to be able to go there and then wrestle with these boys it's pretty impressive. CP Wrestling Academy. Colin Palmer was one of the most known wrestlers in the state. Very, very good. Comes from a very, very good background, work ethic, schools. Fantastic. The first day that we went in, we had a whole bunch of clubs that we were going to see where we were going to go, just kind of take her to the next level. And we walked in there, and immediately we were like, yeah, this is where we need to be.
Well, he's extremely knowledgeable too. 6-time state champ in Ohio. He went to Ohio State. And yeah, his club is second to none, for sure.
When preparing for a meet, Savannah has careful routines she follows.
Well, I'll wake up usually somewhat early still, and I will go out, I'll stretch a bit and get my blood moving. I'll probably do some cardio. And then I come inside and I'll do some things for my muscles. I'll make sure my diet's on track and that I'm eating healthy and eating clean, so that way I don't have a bunch of grease in my system. That's not fun for wrestling matches. And then I'll carb load and get ready for my match when it comes time. It's me. Give me a little bit more weight. Okay. I do a lot of plyometric stuff, and so I do like push-ups, pull-ups. I'll do squats with my brother on my shoulders. I do knee-ups on our pull-up bar, and I do like good mornings and stuff.
Being a wrestler means Savannah has had to keep to a strict diet plan.
I do the keto diet, so low carbs, no sugar. I usually do that until wrestling matches come up, and then I'll carb load a little bit. I'll eat like fruits and bananas and stuff like that.
I love bananas.
I do too.
However, she does like to have her cheat days.
I will definitely eat donuts. Donuts are the best, and it's like my weakness for everything.
And her favorite snack is very interesting.
A lot of people tell me I'm weird for this, but I love tomatoes. I will eat a tomato any day.
When asked who has inspired her, she said,
Definitely a big one is Jordan Burroughs. He's an amazing wrestler as well as an amazing person. He has a pretty much unstoppable double leg, which is one of the first takedowns I really ever tried to learn was Jordan Burroughs' double leg.
Parents John and Lindsay are behind their daughter 100%.
Yeah, we're extremely proud. She works very hard and has earned everything that she's gotten. She's wrestled 3 full years, one of which being a COVID year. But in that short time, she's won the Helixson League twice now. As a female, that's a co-ed league. She qualified for the States, which is also co-ed, and that's the state of Ohio. Ohio is one of the meccas of wrestling, so we couldn't have been more proud about that. Due to COVID, of course, she didn't get to compete, but she would have been seeded. She qualified at a pretty high level. She's achieved All-American status at this point from some of her success in those national tournaments, and she's got some future aspirations that are pretty ambitious.
When asked what it takes to support a talented wrestler, they had this to say.
She does the bulk of the hard work. We are here for a lot of support. So for us, it's a lot of time, support. There's obviously some financial things and things like that come into play, but for the most part, she does the work. We're just here to kind of help her along the way and do the best that we can.
But her little brother John is her biggest supporter.
Honestly, it was shocking when she first said she wanted to wrestle. I was like, oh, okay, come on, you can wrestle with me, I'll teach you how to wrestle. And then she started passing me. I was getting angry at first, but then learned how to support her.
He's her workout partner in the morning, and they kind of go back and forth. So they work with each other, spar with each other, and work out together in the morning. So he's probably her biggest supporter and her number one fan. Also, he's in her corner most of the time coaching. Me and him sit in the corner, but he does most of the coaching. I think he actually knows more than me at this point.
Being a phenomenal wrestler means Savannah gets to travel and compete nationally.
Well, it's very nerve-wracking at first. Like when I first started, I remember my first national tournament. I was like, we were driving there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And they were like, that's gonna be fine. It's just think of it like every other tournament. And it was really great. I met a good friend of mine I have now, and so I know her, and we just traveling it's great. It's really fun, and like when you get to stay in the hotels and then go to the tournaments, it's become a great experience now. I look forward to it. So.
And her family supports her the entire way.
Lots of road rage. It's a little nerve-wracking for us because, I mean, one, the traveling, I mean, sometimes we got 14-hour trips that we're driving. You got to deal with all that in the hotels and all that stuff. And then making sure that they're prepared. So when you're that far away from home, and you still have to be prepared with food. So it's like a very, very long picnic, because you can't just go, oh, there's McDonald's, hey, let's stop there. Not on a wrestler's diet. You got weigh-ins, you got all these, and then once you weigh in, you've got to make sure that their energy level is up, because if you're a half a pound, you got to cut that half a pound out, and then you've got to get hydrated, and then get your energy levels up and your glucose levels and all that stuff. So
Dad John had some great advice for parents with children competing in wrestling.
when you go out there, take a deep breath. This is a long, long journey. This one match seems like the national championship in the moment, and you want to, and you want to go crazy, and you want to tell them every move, and you want to do all this stuff. Do your coaching off the mat. Support your kid on the mat. Mm-hmm. All your stuff is done in practice. You want to support them then. It helps to build confidence. These are lessons I had to learn. In the beginning, I was that guy. It's taken a long time to get to a point to realize, okay, they're trained. They know what to do. Support, help where you can. Sportsmanship. Let them enjoy the sport.
Mm-hmm. You're good. 20 seconds, Savannah. Everything you got.
Yeah, it gets tough when you're wrestling, at a high level. It's intense for her, but it's intense for us too, for sure.
Tell me all of the places that you've went to.
I've gone to West Virginia, New Jersey, Kentucky, Oklahoma.
And then COVID-19 hit, and life got more difficult.
I was supposed to go to Iowa one time, but with everything with COVID, that got canceled, which was disappointing. It's definitely been hard. I was supposed to do some other wrestling things this summer, and they got canceled. One of the states got canceled last year, which was really tough because you obviously work so hard all season to get there, and it's been a little hard with training and everything like that. But
Savannah has some pretty impressive goals for a 13-year-old.
my hope is to be in the Olympics. That's what my all-time big goal is to be in the Olympics, and hopefully someday with enough training I can be in the UFC is another one of my big goals.
When asked how she felt about being a female wrestler and making history, Savannah and her family had this to say.
The way that her personality is, I almost feel like it's just kind of meant to be for her. She's always been very strong as an individual, and I think that she's always kind of looked at herself as an individual. She's never really let gender or anything like that really even come as an obstacle to her. Everything she's attacked as being her personal best, and I think with that comes some of those achievements of setting records and helping, because she's not held back by anything but herself, and everything she does to overachieve or to make herself better.
I think it's great that women started coming to the sport and basically proving themselves and showing that we can be capable of doing big things like this. And I think it's great, and I think that more women should try to do it and compete with everybody.
According to Statista, in the 2009-2010 school year, there were a reported 6,123 girls participating in high school wrestling. In the 2018-2019 school year, that number has been increased to 21,124. Women today are breaking the stigma that has been put upon us for thousands of years and proving that we can do anything we put our minds to. I'm Debbie Christo, and you're watching Score 30.
Our second story tonight, we go to Logan, Ohio, home of the Chieftain Center, a brand new state-of-the-art $9 million athletic facility built in a small town of only 7,000 people. Bob McDelegate sits down with some of the people who helped make that happen.
All right, Christy, let's talk about this entire project when it was coming together. And we're talking about $9 million worth of project coming together. And for the boosters, it's finding a way to raise as much of that money as you possibly could. What was the procedure that you went through? How did you begin? How did you turn an idea into this facility?
Well, I was actually looking back through my notes right before I came because we've been working on it since 2013, believe it or not. The tail end, that's when the discussions started. 14 is when it started to take shape, and when we actually went through the first of our 3 designs on the facility and realized that it was going to take more than just the booster budget to create this. So when we finally got to the point where we knew we wanted to build this, and it had gone from a 30,000 square foot facility to an 86,000 square foot facility, we knew we couldn't do it on our own. And at that point, we got the school board and the district behind us. So we didn't raise all $9 million, but we made a commitment to raise 2, and we're at 1.8 to date. And I think we'd be done at this point if it weren't for a pandemic. So I feel good that in the near future, when things start to open up again, that we would be able to wrap up our commitment of $2 million.
You were in on this from when it was just a mere idea, and maybe it was just, I don't know, how did it start? Was it kind of a comment? Did somebody make a comment once upon a time and somebody else goes, yeah, that'd be a good idea if we could do it? Where was that spark that got this whole thing going?
Well, Bob, it was a dream for a lot of us, I think, but it originated with our athletic director, Teresa Schulteis. She went to the boosters about maybe just building a bigger weight room and maybe some training space for the school district, and it kind of went from there to about a $2 million project and 30,000 square feet until Mr. Boehner came in as a superintendent, and that went from 30,000 square feet to 90,000 square feet that we have here showing now. And with his insight and ideas kind of motivated us even a little bit more to think outside the boxes, which he wanted us to do. And it turned into this facility, and we're very lucky and fortunate.
And all of this is right next to the football field. I mean, it was really planned out well, wasn't it?
Yeah, when we looked at the architect package, everyone had their own little special design, and we went with a group that thought outside the box, and they were able to save part of the concession and part of the restrooms downstairs and build over top of them, which saved the district a tremendous amount of money. So we were looking at the whole picture when we did the architect part.
When you first got here and you got involved in the planning of it, what was your thought when you first saw this?
Well, when I first heard about this was actually after I was hired. And they said, oh, by the way, there's going to be a building project, or hopefully a building project with a weight room and some turf and maybe a basketball court. So at that point in time, I thought, okay. So then I got thinking, so how does it touch all programs in our school? Well, it was pretty limited in scope of what it could really touch. So I thought at that point in time, well, what if we expand this so it touches all programs? And that's what became really important. That was my mission. How could we touch all programs in our school? From obviously athletics to school. And then how could the community benefit from this?
So did you find yourself as kind of the point man with all of these different angles? Was it coming at you from all angles, or was it going to somebody else and you were one of those angles? How did it work?
Oh no, I think there was I was doing a lot of juggling from the committee to working with the financial institutions, to working with our treasurer's office, to working with our school board, back to the committee, to the community. So there was a lot of, I was wearing a lot of different hats, so it seemed like through there. But once again, we're very, very pleased with our facility.
Our community has been wonderful. Small town Ohio, raising almost $2 million to date is not too bad.
Yeah, how big of a selling point was it, or how tough was the sell when you're first starting, when you're taking just that idea? I mean, like right now, they could come in and they could look at it, and that's a much easier sell, but how tough was it to start selling the idea?
It was difficult because our district is very lucky. We have brand new buildings for the most part as we started this, and one of the biggest pushbacks was, why do we need more space? Look at our beautiful spaces that we have already. So it was a matter of educating people outside the district that maybe didn't have kids actively in athletics in particular, or band or other clubs that really needed more space. And once we could start showing them the need, that people started to understand, and we partnered that with communal use. So we wanted the community to feel like this was their facility too.
What kind of things were you pitching as far as raising the money? Now, I know from looking around that you have advertising in here, so I know that's part of it, but what were the other ideas or the different avenues that you took to try to get that money?
Right. We did pull together a sponsorship tiered program, and that really helped us. We had never raised money like this. I mean, sure, we'd sold candy bars and, done car washes and things like that, but this level of advertising was fundraising was new to us. So the professional advertiser definitely helped us, the professional fundraiser, keep saying advertiser, but he gave us that idea to have some tiers and say, hey, if you want your face on the side of the building, it'll be a cool $500,000 and you can do it, and then tiered it on down. So that really helped us because a lot of the banners that you see around are our local businesses, and they probably would have done it even without the banner, but that did help because we showed them that in the future we really hope to be hosting big events with people who weren't from the Hocking County area, and we wanted them to go in and go, there's that business, there's this place where we can go eat, and that really helped us sell those packages.
Well, Keith, this facility, it's great for sports, but it's great just in general for kids. And one of the things that's really important is your after-school program here, which I know you're very heavily involved in. Just tell me about that program, why it's important, and what those kids that stay after school can get inside this building.
Well, you're exactly right. It's very important, as I believe Mr. Boehner also mentioned a few things about it, but these students, a lot of them live, 20, 30 minutes outside of town in the county, and once they leave the school during the day, they don't have a ride back in town. So it's a great program that we offer after school, that they can come to the Chieftain Center and the Student Union up here where we're at, and we have smart snacks for them, and we have video games, Xbox, PS4, table tennis, foosball, cable TV, but I think something even more important is we offer 4 to 5 tutors a night also from 3 to 8 p.m. And those students have been taking great advantage of that and improving their academics as well as during the after-school program.
Now, I would think, I can hardly remember when I was a high school age, but I would think that you talk about going home and doing your homework, and this would be a much better atmosphere to do that in. And when you talk about extra help and tutoring, sometimes kids, they don't want to admit that they need that extra help. They don't want to go that extra step. But when you have the kids come to a place like this, there are other kids around, those tutors are here, they could work together in groups if they want to. How much easier does that make it just for them to, it's almost as though their learning is turning into much more fun?
You're exactly right. It's they make plans to do this with other friends of theirs, and some of them have a scheduled tutoring session at maybe 4 o'clock. So they have from 2:30 to 4 o'clock to just hang out, eat their smart snacks, play some foosball, table tennis, watch some TV, whatever, and just hang out with their friends, take a few laps around the track, play some hoops, whatever. But then when the time comes, and they have the tutor there to help them with their academics as well.
Well, Coy, whenever there's a big operation like this, there's always somebody that's behind the scenes. It normally doesn't get brought out front. But today, we're going to bring you out front to talk about managing this entire facility. How big of a job is that? Just the day-to-day, everything that has to be done here, from the time you start until the time you leave, how busy are you each day?
It varies, but usually pretty busy. You know, during the peak times between basketball and track for more of the indoor stuff that we do, it's 70, 80 hours a week. But then during the summer and during the outdoor times for sports, it kind of dies down a little bit. But we're trying to find different ways to bring things in the building. You know, we have a lot of space that can be utilized for home and trade shows, car shows, a bunch of different stuff like that we're trying to get creative with, just to kind of keep the building always useful.
When it comes to that kind of stuff, where do you go to, first of all, get the idea and then to execute the idea?
Well, you look at what other facilities are doing around the area. There's not too many other places like this around. And then where I went to college, we had a big indoor facility, so that we were lucky enough to kind of, when I came here, bring the ideas and stuff that they had in northwestern Ohio, bring that down here and kind of expand on it and kind of keep the same theme going. But really, I mean, any idea can be brought to fruition if you just think about it and plan it properly and look at what other people are doing.
Teresa, to have a facility like this athletic directors would probably love to have what you have right here. What does this do for your teams? The ability to practice regardless of what the weather is, get their work in normal times, be together and interact all the time. What does it mean to the teams of this school to be able to have this place?
Well, what's been the great advantage is the fact that we're the only school in our county, so our kids transportation-wise, I mean, they have to stay after school. So if I have 6 basketball teams that need to practice, then we have an aux gym and a main gym inside, but now we've opened up 4 courts out here. So everybody can stay after school. It helps with parents with transportation. Tennis was amazing. Never have to cancel another tennis match. If we get bad weather, we just move the tennis matches inside. With COVID, it's made it even better because we had to transform our auxiliary gym into another lunchroom. So opening up the courts here helped me take care of the court I lost in there. So it's just been amazing.
You get into an area like this, and again, it's not a big metropolitan area, but to have something like this, what does that do for your school district? Not necessarily what kind of a message does it send, but just where does it put you in stature and pride?
Well, obviously pride, you know, there's no one else that has anything like this, especially at the high school level. But what it did for a community, and it just so happened through this whole time, I have a daughter that was involved in, 2 daughters involved in volleyball and track, and so I was going to a lot of these events, and I'm going, you know, there's a lot of people here. And that got me thinking about the facility that, you know, we could draw a lot of people into our community, help out our businesses, really make it a selling point for our district, make it a selling point for our community and the county and the town of Logan. So I looked at a lot of things. I visited a lot of different venues and had a lot of ideas, and I knew what this could become.
One of the things that's really impressive when you look around is the versatility of the building, which you were just talking about. And you look at the courts. Yes, you can play basketball. Yes, you can play volleyball. But as you mentioned, you can put some tennis nets up there, and you can go ahead and play a number of matches right here within minutes, right, as you get it set up. So the versatility, how important is that, and how important was that in the whole planning of the place that you could do so many different things?
Well, the committee originally, we wanted to make sure, we were getting what we wanted. There's some things we probably would have changed, but we visited as far north as Cleveland. We went to Cincinnati. We went to OU, not only for the athletic part of it, but the technology for our TV too. But that was important. We couldn't afford an entire football field turf, but we wanted to make it big enough for futsal and youth soccer and be able for our football team to come in at halftime, and the same thing with the courts. We didn't want to focus on just one sport, but multiple sports. So it was important. The track has been unbelievable with no one else around has this. We've already been able to host some indoor track meets. So just the idea that we made it big enough that, number one, financially we could work within that number, and all of our teams get pretty much a full experience out here.
I know it's been a small window so far because of the pandemic, and you haven't gotten to utilize the facility every day the way that you want to. But when you were talking about that sense of community, did you at least get a taste of that with the building being open, that whole community thing that you were pitching and you're trying to get people to believe in? Were you able to sell it, actually sell the experience at all?
Oh, 100%. And I will not forget my first moments witnessing it myself. Probably the very first time. Our grand opening was at the end of November 2019. But there was a soft opening for the students and the athletes prior to that. And I walked in one afternoon at the end of a school day, and we had the Cadet Corps drilling here. We had teams preparing to practice here. We had some teams on the turf, some teams on the main courts, and it brought me to tears, honestly, because it was this bringing the dream to reality.
For whatever sport, nobody can come and say there's not something for us to do. And for your students, the same thing. They can't say there's not something. There is literally something for everybody here.
Yeah, it's we really did try to involve any and everything that we could so that all of our students and our community could use this facility. And talking about community, we do have community hours as well. And pre-COVID, this place was having 150 to 175 community members in an evening on the courts, the track, the turf, and it's just a great place for people to come and just hang out. We would have the older people in our community come and sit on the benches and just watch people, kind of like they do at the mall. They were just watching. So it's just a great facility for our community.
Okay, so you have all the school teams that want time and space in here. You've got different things that you're trying to bring in from the outside. Do you just have a wall that is like a whiteboard schedule, or how do you do that? Like, do you just walk in and go, okay, this is here, that's there, or is it all computerized? What system do you use to keep it all straight?
What's really nice is we have everything set up through Google Drive, which is pretty straightforward, and the coaches actually schedule themselves. So I put it upon them to schedule their own times, and if there's conflict or there's one person kind of monopolizes a certain area or time, then that's kind of where I step in and divvy out time and space accordingly. But overall, it's a pretty, everyone's here for the same purpose. It's for our kids, for our community. So with that being said, it's one of those things where we just kind of keep building forward and keep adjusting to it, because we've only had 4 months of real operation before COVID hit. So, we're still in the learning process of everything and keeping annual events going, but the schedule kind of always works itself out. And then, if we need to bump some people, we have the ability to do that. If we have someone that needs a court that was unexpected, then track changes what they're doing, and then basketball condenses down, or tennis comes in, or volleyball, or soccer, baseball, football. Anybody can just kind of reutilize a space differently, and the coaches and the staff, the administration, everybody being creative and willingness to just move around and keep things moving is what makes it successful.
Those first couple of months after you opened, how many times did you have a whole bunch of stuff going on all at the same time?
Oh, it was every day, with the exception of the weekends for events. But even the events were crazy. We hosted a track meet last year that had over 700 athletes in it at one point. So it's one of those things where, if you can dream it, we can do it type of thing. It just you got to plan accordingly. But yeah, it's constantly moving and always changing.
What about the upkeep too? Because no matter how new something is, there's always something that's going to break day in and day out, right?
Yeah, our maintenance crew is fantastic. Our custodian for the building, Angie, she's phenomenal. She deserves the most praise out of anybody, because nothing goes unattended. The courts and the track, everything in here is cleaned once a week, at least for the flooring surface, but then everything else is cleaned daily. And she's very meticulous and passionate about what she does, and our maintenance crew, nothing goes left unturned, and if anything happens, it's nice, it's new, we want to keep it that way, and for all of our buildings in the district, so they do a really good job of keeping up.
What do those community leaders have to say about this now?
Well, I think everyone's proud of it. The one thing though, I would say, first and foremost, it's for our kids, but second, it's for our community. It's like a community center. It's a center of pride for all of our community members. And obviously before the pandemic and the shutdown of things, we would have 100, 150 community members in here per night, just taking advantage of the courts, the track, the field, just a lot of activity. Also our students with our after school programs. As I don't know if the upstairs here, we have classrooms. We also have things for our kids to do. It provides a safe environment for our kids to be after school. And that was something that I thought was very, very important, that we have to give kids things to do. after school. And this is a safe place. It's supervised and a lot of different activities that we did.
And to your point, it is a sports facility on the surface, but there is so much more to it than just that.
So much more than just a sports facility. Our Cadet Corps JROTC type program is out of here. We have our digital academy kids that do our online learning out of here. We also have our student, like I said, our after school student union type program out here. So it's just, it benefits all. And that's kind of where that was my priority coming, when I learned about this, when I learned about the kind of facility it was going to be, how could it benefit all?
Hey, near and dear to my heart, let's not forget the broadcast facility you have over here. So, hey, if you can't play a sport, you can still cover the sports.
Oh, you got to see Friday night in here. It's really fun to see our kids and our TV2 producer. They're on the headphones and go to camera 2, go to camera 3. They're directing, and it's really neat to see that. And our kids are doing all that.
And I am here with Miss Brooklyn Harris, and we're in her beautiful facility at Logan High School. And first of all, I want to say you're so cute.
Thank you.
And she is a junior. She plays soccer and she plays basketball for her school. But what most impressed me about you is that you drove here. And that's great. Like I told you over there, my daughter's still not driving. But I just want to talk to you a little bit about your beautiful facility. So there was buzz about it before it actually came into fruition. So when the buzz was going about your facility, what were you guys thinking, the athletes like you? What did you think?
I never really thought it would actually happen, but then it was they'd come on about it, and I was like, dang, that would actually be really cool to have a facility like that.
Yeah, because I know in the beginning when it's just a buzz, it's like, okay, I ain't gonna never have it, but it actually did. Yeah. So it's actually here. So what did you guys think about it and your fellow athletes?
I really think that it helped us a lot, saying if the boys wanted to practice, we could all practice at the same time with having the school and the facility, instead of just having one of us go at one time and one of us go at another. We can all go at the same time.
Okay, cool. So I know that, we've all been affected by COVID. So how much actual time have you guys been able to spend here?
Not that much, just because of COVID, but most of our teams, you do use it for practices and stuff.
So when is your next practice?
I actually have a practice tonight.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, and have you been having very many events here, or like track or whatever you do?
Track is actually probably the biggest event we have here. It's definitely been slow right now because of COVID, but yeah, I would say track is huge here.
And because you play soccer and you play basketball.
Yes.
So you're loving the courts, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sitting here with Tegan Myers, Logan High School basketball player, junior. Talk to me a little bit about what was your first mindset when you heard there was a new facility being built?
Man, I was just really excited that we have all this stuff. We got 4 basketball courts, a weight room. It's perfect. Come work out before school. It's really nice.
Being that the population is a little small, 7,000, what did you think this facility did for the community of Logan?
I think it just brought us closer together. Anyone can come use it and just have a good time, bring your family. It's a really good atmosphere.
You just said that anybody could use it. Obviously, it's a wow factor just looking at it. What advantages do you think it gives you guys as a team?
As a team, like I said before, we can come in before school, we can all get workouts in, or even after practice get extra shots and hit the weight room. It's just really good for us.
During the pandemic, I know you haven't had a chance to get in as much and do a lot of things. How often have you been able to use the facility so far?
During the pandemic, I haven't been able to use it too much because it's been shut down, but once it got opened up, we got to practice in it a little bit more, so it's been pretty good.
How are your teammates feeling about the new facilities?
We all love it. It's great. We all can just, even in the summertime we came and just played 3v3 with each other. It was awesome.
Last question. What does it mean to be a Logan Chieftain?
At Logan Chieftain, it's amazing. Like, we're all close together. We all care for each other. It's good.
Stages here at Logan High School with senior Henry Pierce, who plays football, wrestling and baseball. That's right.
Yep.
So you've got this new facility, man, and are there any amenities that you do not have here at your disposal?
Oh, this place is awesome. We've pretty much got everything I could ever dream of in here.
Your wrestling room. Have you been wrestling a while?
This is actually my first year since youth wrestling season that I'm wrestling.
Okay.
And we just have mats down on the turf that we'll roll out and we can wrestle on.
How did the transition feel to you between going from the old stuff to the new?
It just felt like it was so updated. Like we had such new things and everything was brand new. The weights weren't rusty.
How has the facility as a whole brought your game up to another level?
I spend a lot more time in here than I did in the other facilities at the high school. I have so much more tools to use to build my game.
The weight room.
Yeah, the weight room.
And I tell you what, one last thing. We've got this big facility behind us. Does Coach ever make you run suicides out here?
I have once.
It doesn't look like a lot of fun.
No, it's not. This place is huge.
We hope you enjoyed this first episode of Store 30. If you have any stories that you believe we should look at and possibly do a story on, email yourstoreonair@gmail.com. We'll be happy to talk with you.